Ever since Thanksgiving, my spirit team has had me off camera and putting my artwork out there front and center. So you've been seeing my color and hearing my voice, and I've been kind of more behind the scenes. And I thought for sure this week, headed into this second week of December, that I would be back in front of the camera again, and that is not the case, which is it's really surprising me. But I have a feeling I know why, and Spirit Team wants me to share that with you. You know, if you have followed me at all, you know that, I hit a viral moment a little over a year ago, was really strongly anchored in doing a lot of spiritual coaching, spiritual support work for the awakening and the ride that we're on. And then that all began to dissipate this summer. I was definitely doing some spiritual video projects, and Spirit Team started pulling me off the front lines. It has been disconcerting. It has been disheartening. But at the same time, I know they have their reasons, and a lot of those are beginning to, those reasons are beginning to come to fruition. And I thought for sure I'd be back in front of the camera after taking about, a week, 10, 12-day hiatus. And no, Spirit Team confidently has me doing my artwork out front, speaking into my microphone, and there's a couple things they do want me to share with you, and that is that there are have been deep preparations for quite some time for the really big shift that we all can feel or see hanging in the air. Now, what I found really interesting is when I did the Sidney Poitier Psychic Mediumship channel, Sidney came through and gave some specifics, not so much on the timing, but on the rhythm. And one of the things he said about the rhythm of what we're going through is before the big things really began to happen, it would get really quiet. It would get pretty quiet out on the airwaves. I think we're in that right now. Yes, there's still stuff going on. Yes, it is still crazy, but it's kind of come down to a dull roar. And even this weekend, there weren't really any headlines. And coming into this week, there's not really any extra headlines. And I keep coming back to what Sidney said in that channel. He said, and Robin said too, you're going into the thick of the storm, the straight headlong into the catharsis. It's not going to seem like it, but this is actually a really, really good thing. Both Robin and Sidney said that. And then Sidney was the one who said, it's going to get pretty quiet before, everything goes down, before everything happens. Now, I find it very interesting that I released that recording of Sidney, and immediately my Spirit Team had me 100% on the art. Every post since then has been about the art and the color and doing, color art mediumship channels, that type of thing. And they haven't had me back in front of the camera. And I have had this disconcerting feeling of, this is not going to last forever like this, but for right now, I've had this disconcerting feeling of they're really pulling me out of the blast zone. My Spirit Team, they don't want me plugged in at all because they know how sensitive I am. And they know that when things do happen, I am deeply affected by them. I definitely felt that when we did that collective thing of deciding about the Epstein files, and that was a very intense weekend that I lived through. I literally was feeling that through my body. So with Robin giving some warnings and Sidney Poitier giving some warnings, and then this whole thing of Sidney was right. like we're in a quiet zone, and it feels like that. It feels like kind of like the quiet before the storm. And then now Spirit Team has me kind of like pulling even more off the front lines. And folks, I think that's all like thought for pause here. I mean, yeah, it's Christmas and there's like the Christmas stuff going on, but like, God, that doesn't that just feel like it's on the periphery now? Because like there's other, you can feel the big rumblings underneath. And so I like, to me, it's cause for pause that, you know, here they put me front and center intensely for a good year, and now they're pulling me off the front lines consciously. That should tell you something. That right there should tell you something. And it should tell you something about you being aware in your own preparations and where you are placing yourself in your life, both with your dimensional space, but also how you're plugged in with the collective. So I've found this all to be quite interesting. And my pendulum checks do show that at some point I do come back in front of the camera. And even as I'm saying it, I can hear somebody say in my energy field, like, but not right now. So that's one of the elements that I want to leave with you. Then this next piece that I want to make some mention of, like, you know, and it's no news. It's all out there. It's that thing about how 50 Cent dropped the release of the reckoning about P. Diddy. And I've been fully aware of it, and I've watched the videos coming through about commentary on it, and I very consciously chose for a while not to watch it, just simply because it's like, that's a lot of intake. Do I really want to go down that rabbit hole? And I personally consciously chose like, no, not going to do that, not going to go watch it. And then this weekend, I got up yesterday morning and Spirit Team was like, we need you to go watch the P. Diddy thing. And I was like, really? You want me to jump down that nasty shadow hole? They're like, yeah, there's some pieces in there, some missing pieces in there you need to know about. And I was like, oh. So me being who I am, I didn't just bite off a little bit. Like, I dove into the whole deep, dark pool on that. And I got to tell you, between what 50 Cent did and the director, how she pieced together this storyline, like, I don't know how they did it. I do not know how they were able to stay focused on a clear storyline with like everything, everything that's happened with Diddy. And I don't know how they were able to get people to talk. The people that they had talk, I do not know how they got those people to talk. Premium people openly talking. And I think it's a cause for pause of like, the time we're living in is that things cannot be hidden in the shadows any longer. And as I watch this, I mean, the real hard one for me, actually a couple really hard ones for me, was in digesting this whole thing. One of them was P. Diddy's right-hand man at Bad Boy Records when they did the founding was Kirk Burroughs, and over time how Kirk got treated. Like that one was really hard to learn about. And of course, reliving that timeline of Tupac and Biggie. And, you know, and I, like, as I was watching this, like, that was a time I was, you know, in the deep end of the pool. You know, I'm a country, I grew up country western girl, northeastern Colorado. I was full into the country western scene. And so when the Tupac and Biggie thing happened, that was watching it from a completely different genre, you know, still shocking, still heartbreaking, but like coming back full circle and watching the timeline again, I really fully felt the impact of the loss of Tupac. Yes, on Biggie, but even more so on losing Tupac at that time when we did. I mean, we lost two voices for the generation. I mean, I think about the number of songs and interviews and inspiration that we lost for a generation with those two deaths. I mean, that landed, the first time around wasn't great. I feel like it impacted me now more in my mid-50s, impacted me more now than it did, because I was in the deep end of the pool of country western scene. So two completely different genres. Then overall, walking away from watching this thing, I am just struck by how it's the women. It is the women. It's the women who are speaking up, especially Cassie. I mean, when I think about what it took for Cassie to leave him and walk away and still be alive, I don't know how she did it. And then she recreated a new life for herself, a husband and kids. And then, I mean, kudos to Cassie for turning around and filing the lawsuit. So to me, this is like, oh, wow, the power of women coming through on this thing. And her doing that, opening up an avenue for so many other women to be able to speak up and file lawsuits and voice at this time. And so to me, this is also a testament. Oh, and on top of it, the director, the person who put this all together, I mean, 50 Cent, is the producer on it, but the person who put this together is a woman, Alexandria Stapleton. So to me, I'm watching this whole thing, and yes, it is an industry. Yes, it is an industry about men, built by men. And there have been and are up and coming women with it, but it's the women who are shining light in the shadow on this thing, and so that really struck me. And out of all the women, the one woman who pulled the thread for this whole thing to unravel, Cassie. Holy cow. For her to be able to escape him, keep her life, build a new life, and then turn around and file a lawsuit against P. Diddy, one of the most powerful people in the music industry. And she pulled that thread. And I mean, it is unraveling, and now it's going to continue to unravel. I mean, that in and of itself is incredible. So I had those thoughts walking away. And then the last part of this that I had walking away is what I will now close with. And that is this 50 Cent dropping this right now about the reckoning of Sean Combs and all the key pieces of information in this. It's folks, we have been in the deep end of the pool learning about the revealings in the shadow for years upon years upon years now. I got done watching this last night, and I just kind of stood in my living room turning around, and the way Alexandria put together this documentary, she was able to touch on some very significant points and many things that were new to me about the whole thing. And the way she put it together, she had zinger after zinger of connect-ins with different areas of our lives. And so I kind of stood in my living room and I started looking around, and I'm like, I think this documentary of P. Diddy, it's like a harbinger. It's like a harbinger of the big boom is coming, people. Because if you watch this documentary, we know that the hip hop industry is we know that the music industry is not the only industry that is corrupt. And that's where I stood in my living room, kind of turned around, and I was like, oh my God, there's the music industry, and, and then there's Hollywood, and then there's, the food industry, and then there's the politicians, and then there's the corporatocracy, and then there's banking. You turn around and you look at any portion of our lives, the different sectors of our lives, and there is no corner of our world that has not been touched by corruption and the shadow. The thing that Alexandria and 50 Cent did not do is they did not go down the deep end of the pool of the freakouts. Like they made mention of it, but they did not go that direction. And I'm like, oh my God, you start stacking the P. Diddy documentary and then the Epstein files coming out, and then us pulling apart the shadow in the corporatocracy and chiseling away at it. It's like, I don't know if you can see, but I definitely can see like coming a greater and greater reckoning of like all these, if you think about it, all these threads in all these different shadows that we are surrounded by, like the weave of our cultural blanket, basically. We've been pulling on threads and unraveling things, and we keep chiseling away at it and eroding it, and more is coming to light. And I'm like, damn, people, we're close to critical mass on this whole thing. We're close to critical mass. And I have always felt, I didn't say this on video, but I can say it here. I have always felt that we will know that we get to the bottom of the barrel on this thing when it is finally revealed that the sex trafficking, along with the power corruption, the power money corruption, along with the underground tunnels in our country and other countries and the industrial military complex, when all of those are revealed and put together, then we have hit the bottom of the barrel of figuring out and revealing and understanding this whole thing. And now with the P. Diddy documentary out, God bless 50 Cent for having a grudge that has gone on for decades, right? And God bless the women who we keep chiseling away at things. And, you know, the people who are willing to stand up, you know, God bless the judges in this country who are willing to stand up and say no, you know, and all of our different forms of resistance, right? Because here's the bottom line, and I believe this is why Spirit Team has been pulled me off of the front lines, and I'm doing what I'm doing right now is because we're very close to hitting a critical mass. We're very close to hitting a critical mass. And I don't know, like, whether you're on TikTok or not, and I don't even know if this is getting out on YouTube, but there is one child intuitive after another psychic, there's beginning to be a trickling of people coming out and talking about tsunami warnings, you know, the great big tsunami warnings. And they're doing these tsunami warnings thinking it's water. And sure, it could be. I mean, you know, as of recording this, there was a 7 on the Richter scale earthquake on the Canadian-Alaskan border. And then this morning I woke up and there was a 7.6 earthquake off the coast of Japan. So something is in the air with earth, you know, the earthquake, tsunami, volcano thing. But I'm thinking, every time I hear an intuitive talk about a tsunami prediction, I'm like, I don't think it's the water, people. It could be water. Sure, yes, we need to be careful about our coastlines. I would never want to take that warning away from anybody. But I believe this also might be powerfully metaphorical in that, you know, in my work, I like Robin Williams saying, hey, the big one's coming. And then Sidney Poitier, you know, hey, the big one's coming and it's going to get real quiet before it happens. And we're in the quiet right now. And then, you know, 50 Cent's dropping. I mean, just the name on this thing, The Reckoning. I don't think it's the reckoning just for P. Diddy. It is the reckoning for P. Diddy. But I don't think it's just the reckoning for P. Diddy. I believe the title on that, The Reckoning, is a sign of the times of a far greater reckoning. Because now, I mean, if you look at all the work we've done on revealing all the different areas of the shadow and all the different sectors, now we know enough in all of these different sectors that they're going to start connecting up. especially when some of the larger pieces begin to fall. And I mean, and I could see that. I was like watching the P. Diddy thing, and they drop a name or a person, and I'd look at that and I go, well, that's a world unto itself, and that's connected up with this and this and this. Like, that's how long and how much we've been in the deep end of the pool, in the shadow world on this thing, shining light, learning the things about corruption for year after year after year after year, and we are at critical mass. I swear to God, we're a critical mass of all the dots connecting up across sectors and genres and people and corruption. Like, it is so close to connecting up. And my pendulum has been saying, end of December, all of January. And as of last week, when we crossed through Thanksgiving, Spirit World was like, yep, we're pulling you. We're pulling you. And I'm like, wow. So I'm coming to you. You're seeing the artwork. And yes, that is a print that is available in my Shopify. I'm going to be doing more and more art. And you've had a chance to look at that and soak it up while I've talked about disconcerting, information. But I'm just, I'm here to say in a little bit more of a podcasty kind of way of like, it's gotten quiet, folks. Yeah, it's kind of gotten quiet. All the fireworks have kind of slowed down a little bit. Yeah, there's still some. But I like, keep your wits up. Keep your wits about you, because I think we're, within the next couple of weeks. And I don't know when or how exactly this is going to happen, but it's like we're closer at the edge of this than we ever have been before. And so this is me just saying, like, have your wits about you in the middle of the Christmas season, and that there are some pretty big things at play, even if it seems to have gotten quiet and, and it seems like, the shadow just keeps grinding at us. I really, truly believe, especially with, what Spirit World has been giving to me over the last handful of months, and now how they seemingly have seemed to position me. I like that. That is a cause for, I'll say it again, that is a cause for pause. Take note. Some people in my audience might be going, oh, Dana's just doing ridiculous stuff. And I'm like, think you might want to take a beat there. Read between the lines a little bit. I think there's a little bit more going on, because like, if my spirit team wanted me out front and center shouting from the rooftops, don't you think they'd have me doing that? Don't you think they'd have me doing that? But no, they have pulled me off the front lines, sequestering me, preparing me. They're letting me come back to say these few things in a very like kind of low-key way with some artwork. So the people who are really paying attention will pick up on it. And the people who are not, they're just flying by going, art. And I'm like, yeah, art, color, 5D. Which dimensional place are you in? Which dimensional place are you in? How much of your business have you finished up? Really, how much of your business have you finished up? Are you really sinking into the deep end of the patriarchal Christmas pool that is basically by men, for men? Don't even get me started. This is my 5th Christmas of deconstructing Christmas. So like, I look at the whole thing and I'm like, oh my God, it is such a massive distraction taking us away from the magical gateway of the solstice. So keep that in mind, and have your radar up, because yes, Spirit Team is having me come out and speak out like this right now. I don't know how often they will have me do that, but pretty much every time I come out with some artwork and color and I'm talking about staying in 5D and doing 5D stuff, there's a reason for that. That there is a very specific reason for that right now. All right, so check out my color and art videos for Uplift. I'm beginning to have a collection of them. I'm going to get a new page up on my website for them so you can go visit that a little bit more regularly and go check out the artwork that is available for sale or picking up a session with me. Yes, even though you don't see me, I'm definitely still doing sessions. Session and remote video reads are definitely still available. So, and I would love to hear your comments about everything that I shared here. I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section about this. Yeah, I hope you are being good to yourself and doing good things. And yeah, heads up, people, because I think things are going to begin to get very interesting again fairly soon in a whole other kind of way. So that's what I've got for you for now. Thank you for being here. And yes, continue moving forward to meet those miracles along the way. And mwah, I will see you out there in my next video.